Welcome all to our budgeting class. I'm calling this Budgeting 101. It was initially meant for our clients, and that's really what we're looking for the most, is to be able to add value to our clientele. We've helped you get in debt, and we want to help you get out of debt sooner rather than later. I just recently opened this course up to some key agents and key financial planners and attorneys in our areas. We've got several people that are joining us, and we're grateful for that. Let me go ahead and share my screen. So where I got most of this information is from an organization that I'm involved in called NIFE, the National Institute of Financial Education. I have been going around and teaching these courses at our local colleges as well as at our local high schools. And this information that I'm sharing. So from the National Institute of Financial Education, it's a nonprofit I'm involved in with Kendall Todd. In my studies, one thing that I found that was very interesting, and I shared this in a recent realtor class that we did, was that 85% of Americans hate their job. 80% of Americans are in debt. 70% of Americans have less than $1,000 in savings. 45% of Americans have less than zero in savings. 75% of Americans lose sleep thinking about retirement. The average American has over $6,000 of credit card debt. Now, this was as of last year, and I will say that credit card debt towards the latter part of last year and into this year has increased. We were at about 15% usage of credit card debt. Now we're over 22%. So it has increased as inflation has hit families a little bit harder. There are 43.2 million student borrowers that are in debt by an average of $39,351, close to $40,000 each. There are 43.6 million renters in the nation that would buy a house if they knew how. According to SSA.gov, the trust fund reserves holding our Social Security will be bankrupt in the year 2037. Now, we've heard about it being bankrupt. What does that really mean? I've never really had anybody tell me what that looks like. And so does it look like the people that are currently getting Social Security are okay? They'll continue getting the funds that they're getting. Does it mean that those that start getting Social Security after 2037, because I think it'll always be around, but after 2037, does it mean that instead of getting, I don't know, $1,500 a month, you get $1,000 a month? I don't know. Does it mean that right now we pay 7.5% of our paychecks up to, I think it's $141,000 or so, $150,000? And so does that mean that we will continue paying 7.5% past that $140,000, $150,000? Or does it mean that maybe 10% of our checks or 15 or 20% of our checks will have to go towards Social Security? What does that mean in the year 2037? I don't know what it really means. That's all just hyperbole as to what it could mean, hypothetical, but it doesn't sound good. And I want to help all of us get to the point to where it's okay. We're okay. We don't need Social Security. And if we get it, then awesome. And if we don't, then it's okay. We want to help all those that had paid into it through the years and all those that are receiving it to receive it, because it is a valuable source. Millions of homeowners are unsure and unaware as to how to properly manage their mortgage and their mortgage debt. And that's something that we work really, really hard with our clients on. And you're going to see a lot more from me here as we go forward throughout this year. We're going to have classes not only on budgeting, we'll have another budgeting class coming up in June, but we're going to have classes on investing. We're going to have a financial planner on with me, where we're going to be talking about investing. We'll be looking at investing in real estate, investing in the market. We're going to have a CPA on, talking about taxes and how to get the best tax advice. We'll be talking about credit and how to obtain the best credit score, and really the tips and tricks of credit and how to play the game of credit, because it actually is a game. It's not a game like Monopoly that you may have fun playing, but credit is a game. And so how can we play that game and prosper? So budgeting, we're going to try to make this a little exciting here. So budgeting is more than just a series of numbers on a page. It is an embodiment of our values. A budget doesn't limit your freedom. It gives you freedom. Budgeting only has one rule: do not go over budget. Easier said than done sometimes, right? Let me revert back to this. So really the why. Let me give you the why behind why I'm doing this. One, this really hit me. Now, in 2021, I wrote a document that I declared war on fiscal literacy. Now, somebody had asked me not too long ago, didn't you really declare war on fiscal illiteracy. And yeah, maybe, but I believe it's really, I declared war on fiscal literacy because the way it's taught isn't right. We have a serious problem in this nation, and it's a very serious fiscal literacy and debt crisis problem. And so maybe it is, I declared war on fiscal illiteracy, but I feel like I declared war on literacy itself because I want to help everybody understand what fiscal literacy means. I want to help everybody understand the little things that you can do to create wealth. And that's really what I'm here about. I want to help you create wealth. So that way you don't lose sleep about retirement. You don't lose sleep about money. Now, when we look at a budget is more than just a series of numbers on a page. It is an embodiment of our values. A budget doesn't limit your freedom. It gives you freedom. Budgeting only has one rule: don't go over budget. As I think about that, I think about growing up, and I want to share with you my experience. So my family, we did okay. I was born in 1973, and in the 70s, we did well. My father was a laborer. He made plywood for a living. I can't go into Home Depot or Lowe's into the section where all the 2x4s are and the wood and plywood and all that stuff is without thinking of my father, because he would come home every day from work and he would smell like plywood and wood. So I love that smell. And, I remember my dad worked really, really hard. He worked a lot of overtime. He taught me the value of hard work and work ethic. And he also taught me that if a job is worth doing, it's worth doing right. Now, fast forward to the 80s, my father had MS. And so in the 80s, I don't remember if it was 80, 81, it was in there somewhere where my father had to retire. And he was just cresting into his 50s at the time. He had me a little late in his life, but he had to medically retire. And so we went months without a paycheck coming into the house. And if it wasn't for my grandparents and our church and some other people, we wouldn't have made it. My parents budgeted before that, and they could budget really well. But after that, they really couldn't budget really well. They didn't know what money was going to come in. So budgeting sometimes is a very difficult thing. Now, I remember, I never went without food. We always had food. We had a roof over our head. But I did go without a lot of things growing up, a lot of things that my friends would have. And it made me a little bit sad sometimes. But I can tell you that the lessons that I learned through that period of time have been invaluable to me. I don't want anybody else to feel some of the same feelings that I felt. For instance, we just be a little vulnerable for a quick minute. We had to be on church assistance for a little while. And I remember I was playing a game with some of the youth in our church, and it was a game called 500. It's a football game. And I remember one of the youth threw the football up and it went back behind these trees, and myself and one other of the youth ran back behind the trees to go grab the football. And that youth came up to me back behind the trees and said, you're on church assistance, aren't you? And I remember the feeling that I had at that point, the embarrassment that I had at that point. And I didn't know why. But I remember it to this day. And that's really what drives me. That's what drives me to help to where you never feel those feelings and never have to go through that. So budgeting is extremely important. And we're going to talk about not only just budgeting, but then creating wealth through budget. And that's really the why behind why I do what I do. So today we're going to start with what is money, your money story, and then managing cash flow, the budget. As we talk about money, while no single conversation is guaranteed to change the trajectory of a career, a company, a relationship, or a life, any single conversation can. Again, growing up, my family was a traditional family. I would be playing out until the lights came on. When the lights came on, I knew it was time to go home. And so I'd come in and we would have some casserole dish. And I can tell you that I don't like macaroni and cheese very much, specifically macaroni and cheese with tomatoes on it. Had a ton of that growing up, beans and onions and stuff like that. I don't like. So we'd come into the dinner table and we would talk about a lot of different things. We would talk about how our day was, what we learned, what's going on. We didn't have the TV on. It was a time to be able to really just connect as a family. I can tell you that we never talked about money. We talked about credit, and my parents taught me about credit and how to have good credit, but we never talked about money, about how to create wealth. We never talked about budgeting. I never learned those things. Even in high school, I never learned those things. I did have economics in high school, but I never learned the how-to of those things. While no single conversation is guaranteed to change the trajectory of a career, a company, a relationship, or a life. Any single conversation can. And that's really my purpose today, is to be able to hopefully change the trajectory that you may be on, to be able to give you little tips and tricks that have helped me to be able to create a budget and live on a budget, to be able to create wealth, and to be able to ultimately sleep better at night. That's my purpose. So what is money? It's a store of value. It's a unit of account. It's a medium of exchange. Now, you may have different ideas around money and different ideas about today. You may want to reduce stress around money. That's typically why one wants to budget. You may want to have more clarity around money, feel more in control and empowered about money, get out of debt, live within my means and develop savings, connect with a greater meaning of purpose in life. What would you like to learn about money? I ask clients what they wanted to learn about money, and there's a lot of different things. Now, one thing I want to talk about is that money is always on our mind. Always. It doesn't matter if you make $1,000 a month, and it doesn't matter if you make $1 million a month. Money is always on our mind. How to get it, where to spend it, how to save it, where to save it, how it's taxed. That may not always be on our mind, but in the back of our mind it is. Tax time always comes. And will we have enough? And I know will we have enough really, really affects a lot of people. And that's what we will be helping our clients more intently than ever before do, is to be able to create wealth through their mortgage and make sure that they will have enough at retirement. Now, again, I will say, as I've had opportunity to be able to talk to and meet with a lot of individuals over my life, I've been in this industry now 25 years, and I've met with clients that, again, they make, a couple $1,000s a month, and I've met with clients that make $1 million plus a month. And I do say $1 million plus a month. I will say that we all think about money. It doesn't matter how much money you make, but we all think about it. We all think about it a little bit differently. And somebody that's making $2,000-3,000 a month, they're going to be thinking in hundreds of dollars. A lot of the things that they're doing is in hundreds of dollars. And the person that's making $10,000 a month, a lot of times they're not thinking in hundreds anymore, but they're thinking in thousands. And so their bills are in thousands. But the guy that's making $1 million a month, he's going to be in tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. It's just at a different scale. And one scale is not better than the other. It's just we always think about that money. So really, what is money universally? At the end of the day, I'm going to tell you that money is a tool. Money is something we trade our life energy for. You pay for money with your time. You then choose how to spend your time. Now, what is your life energy worth? Life energy is time. It's precious because it's limited. We simply can't know how much we have. One thing I would say that when you're budgeting, one thing that you want to budget for is, do I get up on that ladder? Do I place Christmas lights up on my house? Or do I put them up myself? Do I fall off the ladder and then I can't be at work for a couple of weeks because I've fallen off the ladder? A friend of mine fell off his roof a few years ago and broke his back. Luckily, he was retired at the time, so financially that was fine, but he suffered greatly for it. What are the things that we can do that we might budget to have somebody else do? And so those are the types of things that sometimes we don't think of when we're budgeting. What are the things, what are the things that we need to save for, like extra plumbing expenses, a new hot water heater, a new furnace, whatever it may be when we own a home? What are the things that we need to look at? And then what should we do and what should we hire somebody else to do? So you get to determine what money is worth to you, and is it your life energy? Is it more valuable to put those Christmas lights up for yourself, pay for it in time, or to have somebody do it who's an expert at it, that one is only going to take 30 minutes to do it. It's going to take you half a Saturday. And so speaking from experience, and then you pay them to do it. So that way you can spend time with your family. You can spend that life energy with your family, or doing something that you love, maybe going on a hike or whatever it may be. Really, when we look at your money story, people do not desire to be rich, only to be richer than other people. So what is that? Be like the Joneses. There's a lot of that in our lives, trying to be like other people. And what's interesting is that wealthy individuals, they're not trying to be like anybody else anymore. They've got that taken care of. And so they've figured that out. But I would say that this is one of the biggest causes for a lot of debt in our nation, is we're trying to be like other people. What's interesting is I found this study, and income that made people the happiest was right at around $95,000 a year. When you crest over and then you start to make over $105,000 a year, sometimes you're not as happy. There's a lot of problems that come with that and a lot of different things. And so I'm not going to say that just being at that 95,000 is where you want to be. And I'm not going to say 105,000. It's some people are happy at 40,000 and then others are happy at others. But we all need to budget at the places that we're at. Some people will say that if you want to budget more, you have to make more. I don't know if that's really the case. Maybe to get out of debt, you might need to make a little bit more. I found that an interesting study there. If you work for someone, think of the money you earned each dollar as employees that work for you. So think about that money. It's when you're working for somebody or self-employed, think about each one of those dollars as employees for you. And what are you going to do with it? How are you going to put them to work and put them to work for you? So let's talk about the actual budgeting here. One thing I suggest is to have 3 different accounts. We'll talk more about this in a little bit, but have 3 different accounts. You'll have a checking account, a savings account, and a money market account. This is your checking account, your savings account, and then your money market account. Your money market account needs to be something that you can't get to. I mean, you don't have to get to it right today. If you want to get that money out, it's going to take you a couple of days, and that's okay. What you do is, let's just say that your monthly expenses are $4,000 a month. Now, what your goal is to put into the savings account a minimum of 3 months worth of living expenses. So you want to grow that account to $12,000 if your expenses are $4,000 a month. Let's just say hypothetically that you're paid $2,250 every 2 weeks, so $4,500 a month. Now, again, your living expenses are $4,000, so you can save $500 a month. Where you're going to take that $500 a month and put it into that savings account until you grow to $12,000. When you grow to $12,000, then you're going to start putting it into that 90-day fund, into that money market account, where that money market account is going to grow and double over time. That's really, I mean, at the end of the day, when you're talking about budgeting, it's how simple it is. Simple, but it's not easy, right? Now, let's talk about this a little bit. What works best, again, is when you get your monthly checks, you put your monthly checks into your checking account, pay all your bills, and then take that savings and put it into your savings account. Now, your savings account, you want to be able to have access to right away. The reason why you want the savings account and 90 days worth of cash in that savings account is that's the account that if you have expenses, such as a water heater going out, or you need new tires, you can take the money from your savings and pay cash for it. So you don't have to use your credit cards. And then once you have that 90 days worth of savings, at that point, we want to help you increase to 6 months worth of savings and beyond. One thing that we go through with our clients is to be able to first create a saving, that 90-day savings account. Second, to be debt-free. So what I will say is that before you start putting money into this bucket, the money market account, take that $500 and start paying off your debt. If you have any credit card debt, auto loan debt, start paying that $500 and start paying off that debt. As you whittle that debt down, as you pay that debt off, then at that point, you're going to start that money market account and you're going to start putting money into that money market account. So you first put it into your checking account, pay your bills, put your savings in your savings account, take that $500, pay debt off first, which is step 2. And then from there, then after your debt's paid off, you're going to create significant liquidity. And the way that you're going to create that significant liquidity is by putting money into that money market account first. As you put that money into that money market account, remember, looking back at school, the rule 72, money grows and doubles over time, roughly every 7 to 10 years, depending upon what your interest rate is. So the more that you can put in there, you get a raise at work, put some extra money in there. You get a bonus at work, put some extra money in there. The more that you can put in there, the faster it's going to grow and double over time. But this is the account that you're going to create significant liquidity. And I term significant liquidity as being able to have an account that you have enough money in to where you can physically write a check and pay your mortgage off at some point. Now, the question is, do you do that? Because if you have enough money, and let's say you're 21, physically write a check and pay your mortgage off on a 30-year mortgage, do you do that? Or do you continue paying your mortgage and let that money double. Remember, in 7 years, roughly, it's going to double. Can you retire then with a good amount of money? But this is really the easiest way that I have found to be able to budget. Now, you do it through 3 different accounts. Again, a checking account, savings account, a money market account. Some people have done it with literally cash and putting it into jars. I don't think that's wise. I think the best is just put it in your account. Okay, I've got X amount in my checking. I've already put my savings in my savings account, so I'm golden there. And then I'm paying off debt. And then I'm going to start to create significant liquidity. And then number 4 in our process is step 1 is 3 months in your savings account, 3 months worth of expenses. Step 2 is being debt free minus any auto loans or any credit card debt. Step 3 is creating significant liquidity, which is this account. Then step 4 is having your mortgage paid off. Now, technically, your mortgage is paid off, in my opinion, as soon as you have enough money in that liquidity account to physically write a check and pay your mortgage off. It's just the question is, do you do that or not? So, that's really budgeting in a nutshell. Now, the how-to. I want to say that I found it easiest to pay bills once a month. And this is just tools to be able to manage your money. And so really to be able to pay your bills once a month. And I know you're going to say, well, Walt, I get my bills at all different times of the month. Call your creditors and get them to send you their bills at the same time, have the same due dates, whether it's the 1st of the month, the 5th of the month, the 10th of the month, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just change those due dates. Your creditors will do that, but make sure that your bills are all due at the same time. This way, you're not going to forget about a bill. And it's easy with the math just to be able to pay them once a month. Now, you'll have one bank with those 3 accounts. And so checking, savings, and money market. I suggest that you have 2 credit cards. You have one for personal, one for business, or a backup. And I'm going to say that you have $5,000 credit limits on those 2 credit cards. That's it. That way, at any given time, you can only get into $10,000 worth of debt. Now, it's crazy that I'm saying only get into $10,000 worth of debt. It's a lot of debt. But the point is, the maximum debt that you can get into at any given time is $10,000. And you can get $10,000 paid off relatively quickly than you can $100,000. And so, having those 2 credit cards, $5,000 high credit limit, that's how I found to be able to really manage your money. Bill pay, again, once a month, change the due dates to make that happen. Never pay a debt more than 30 days late. So if it's due on the 1st of January, don't wait until February 1 to pay it, because that's going to hit your credit. That's a 30-day late. Make sure that you always pay it by the 1st of that month. Now, we are going to have a credit class, and this is going to be really in probably April or May, where we're going to talk about the credit game. Again, I call it a game, because one thing that I'll talk about is you really don't even want to pay your credit card on the due date. You want to pay it before that. And I'll explain at that time. But there's ways to be able to really increase your credit score that way. So follow a 40, 10, 20, 30 rule. And I found this to be really a good, strong rule. The first is you're going to pay Uncle Sam. So we have to pay our taxes first, right? So you're going to pay Uncle Sam first through taxes, and then take 10% and give it away. Money, I think when you give money away, and it doesn't matter if it's to your church or a good charity or whatever, it enables you to not have a hold or money have a hold on you. And so if money has a hold on you, then I think you think differently about money. And so if you can give it away, then it's going to be able to help. Then 20% you're going to save. So the goal is that you want to save 20% of your income, and you live on 30%. Fill out a budget monthly. Now, I'm going to say track. And that is, you want to not only fill out the budget monthly, where you're filling out all of your expenses, everything, gas, water, your local gym. I pay a local gym a membership that I never go to. So that's my donation to them every month. I need to cancel that. But, everything that you're going to put in there, and then put some non-discretional spending in there for movies or for, some fun time. You gotta have some fun time, but then just track. Make sure that you track everything. If you're not tracking your money, then you don't know where it goes a lot of times. So track it. And I find the best way to do this is through a specific form that I fill out every single month. Now, if you want this form, I'm more than happy to send it to you, but it shows what I paid. It shows what my minimum payments were, what my budget was. I can track everything and how much money I put into savings at the end of the month and everything. But track. It's very, very important. Track everything, every penny as to where it went. So really 6 main steps to create wealth. Again, tracking is number 1. Track everything. Be debt free. So work hard to pay off your debt. The easiest way that I found to do that is you build that 3 months worth of savings account first. That's very, very important. You build that first, and then you start paying off your debt with the savings. And so the money that you were putting in savings, you're paying off the debt. Now, what I wanted you to do is that when you're paying off debt, don't look at interest rates. Interest rates are irrelevant. And that's crazy talk, right? No, it's not. Interest rates are irrelevant on credit card debt. The reason being is because you want to look at your minimum monthly payment and you want to look at the total amount that's owed. The faster that you can get credit cards paid off, the more endorphins that you're going to have. So you want to pay your smaller credit cards off first, so you get those endorphins. If your lowest interest rate is on your highest balance credit card and it takes you a year to pay that off, you're not going to get those endorphins. You're probably going to stop pretty quick. So pay your smaller credit cards off first. It doesn't depend on interest rate. You know, if you have a credit card that's $300, another one's $500, another one that's $1,000, pay that $300 off first, then go to the $500, then go to the $1,000, and then start hitting the other ones. So build a survival account, 3 months worth of expenses. Number 4, max out your retirement. The best way to be able to max out your retirement, the reason why you do that is because most companies have company matching 401ks. That's the best way to give yourself a raise. Max out that retirement savings and start building that retirement. We will help you. So that's going to be all pre-tax dollars. So when you pull it out of retirement, you're going to get taxed, but we will help you through mortgage reviews. And that's why mortgage reviews, annual asset reviews are so important. We will help you create wealth through accounts that can be taxed now opposed to, or maybe not even taxed, like with home equity in that. We can help you create those to where, and we'll team you up with a financial planner. So we'll have pre-tax dollars, we'll have post-tax dollars, and then some that like home equity, if you ever invest that for whatever reason in something, then a lot of times you're taking that equity out of your house and it's not taxed. So now it would be taxed in the investment that you're putting it in, that growth. But again, we're going to team you up with a financial planner to be able to really do that. Now, I'm not saying that's the best investment to do. And so it's up to you and it's up to the financial planner. But max out retirement, investing in the market. Start looking at prepaying your mortgage, but that's after you've done everything. And so again, our goal is to be able to help you create a budget. If you want to talk more on this one-on-one, please reach out. More than happy to do that. 2, we want to help you create wealth through your mortgage, and we're here to be able to help you do that. And then 3, we want to be the captain of your wealth team. What that looks like to me is when you need an accountant, a CPA, let us know. We work with some of the best CPAs around. If you need a financial planner, let us know. If you need a real estate attorney, let us know. If you need any of those sources, if you need professionals around you, let us know. Let's have an annual asset review. Let's see what you need. Let's see where we can protect you, where you're open at this point, where we can protect you. And then again, I'm happy to go through budgeting on a one-on-one basis with you. But as I mentioned earlier, it is simple, but not easy. Hey, thank you so much, guys, for attending tonight. Please reach out if you have any questions. I wanted to make this course a little bit quicker for you. I know that we're taking time away from your family and other fun things that you can do. Thank you so much. It means everything to me that you guys attended. Reach out and let me know what you'd like to hear next month on investing with a financial planner. What are some things that you would like to be able to know? All right, thanks, guys. Have a great day. Bye.